I was so proud of myself. I got the videos up just right, and I come out of the videos and I'm frozen. So it must be Friday night. It must be Explain Yourself, and it must be the one person whose computer is important going in and out right as we start. So, hey, everybody, welcome to Explain Yourself. I'm Kevin.
Hey, I'm Will.
And we have a packed house of creators. We're going to talk about 3 amazing Kickstarter campaigns tonight. I am going to ask the crew from Savage Wizard to introduce themselves and let us know what your campaign is about.
Hello, I'm Doug. I'm one of the co-writers.
Leslie, the other co-writer.
I'm Brian. I'm the illustrator.
And basically what our comic is best summed up by saying, what if Conan the Barbarian was forced to reclass as a wizard against his will?
That's perfect. All right, we're getting in deeper later. Ryan, let's hear a little bit about Ruination 1 through 4.
Sure. So Ryan Biss, I'm the writer-creator of Ruination. Ruination is a fantasy adventure series that takes place in a world that is kind of been destroyed by 200 years of war between this nation of Seldyria and this rebel group called the Fallen. So the story picks up about 40 years after a truce has been declared, when the Fallen have suddenly reappeared and attacked kind of out of nowhere. And we follow the adventures of these 3 soldiers who have kind of joined together from opposing sides and gone on this adventure through this magical portal that they found in the woods to find some magical artifacts that will hopefully help them defeat the leader of the Fallen, who is attempting to restart this centuries-long conflict and hopefully save their world.
Beautiful. All right, Matt, you've got the lead here. You start out about 20 paces in front of everybody else, because we actually got a little bit about All the Devils Are Here from the writer on the project. But in case somebody's joining us for the first time, I know you're the artist, but what is All the Devils Are Here?
All the Devils Are Here is an exorcism story, but it's pretty different than most like priest standing over a bed exercising somebody. There's it's kind of like Inception, where they have like a shared consciousness, and you'll go in and actually have to fight monsters and go through this person's like whole mind world, I guess you would call it, to find and kill these stinking demons,
And this is beautiful, because this is just fantasy tonight. I wish that Will and I could pretend that we were smart enough or organized enough to have put this together this way.
We did.
I mean, Will and I, we put our heads together and we said we need a fantasy, but we've got wizards and warlocks, we've got ruination with all kinds of magic, and we've got supernatural demons inside of a man with dementia. Exorcism. I was just like, this is just like just fantasy, which is very close to my heart. So all right, well, I think I'm going to go to Savage Wizard first with you guys. I'm going to pull up the page, and I'd love to hear a little bit more about Conan having to put down the axe and pick up the magic wand.
I'll defer to Leslie. He can.
So you did the 30 seconds. So he has to do the 5 minutes.
Nice.
That's fair.
Yeah.
205 backers. Nice.
206. All right.
So what was the how did this process generate between Doug and Leslie, the writers? How did you guys start on this journey?
Oh, I have to tell this because Leslie is constantly too humble to tell the story properly. We were on a comics creators Discord, and we have weekly discussions about what we're working on for the week. I saw Leslie constantly in the chat showing off his mini comics, and I was so impressed. I purchased a couple and just blown away by his work. And I said, one time I said, "Hey, Les, would you be interested in co-writing something with me?" And even though I had nothing to my name, he was kind enough to say, "Yeah, let's try to do something." He really took me under his wing, and he showed me the ropes, and he's been kind of a mentor for me, and I've been really appreciate everything he's done for me. And don't let him tell you anything otherwise. It's very true. And from there, we've just been working together for the last couple of years on trying to get this thing off the ground.
So who had the first genesis of the idea?
So it came from Pitchvember around 2019. Pitchvember, people aren't familiar, is basically you're supposed to come up with like a log line every day for month of November. So back then I was just coming up with a bunch of random ideas, and just one of them happened to be, what if this barbarian type character was forced to become a wizard? And when Doug approached me, we kind of went back and forth on ideas, and nothing really clicked. And then I suggested that one, like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" He was like, "Oh my gosh, that's the story. Let's work on that." And kind of all snowballed from there.
Can I ask the most important question? Which one of you was genius enough to get Brian involved? Because I was just looking at that artwork, and holy shit, man.
I think I get credit on that one too, I guess. So funny enough, Doug, Brian, and I were all, I guess you could say, alumni of the Comic Jam, which was like a weekly group that kind of paired an artist and writer together. And you had like a week to come up with a one-page comic based on a random prompt. And Brian was doing awesome stuff even back then, but I was never lucky enough to work with him. So once we kind of knew what the characters were going to look like, and we had our reference material ready to go, light bulb kind of went off my head. And I was like, oh yeah, Brian would be amazing for this project.
I can't figure out a project he wouldn't be amazing for. Look at that sword.
Fair enough.
Very nice. Is this going to be color, or are these still preview pages? What's the plan?
We really like the look of the inks and what he's been doing with the tones and stuff like that. I think we're just going to keep it black and white.
Awesome.
If things blow up to a point where we're looking at stretch goals, maybe we'll look at color. But I think we will both really feel that, and maybe even Brian, I don't know, feel like it kind of just sells on its own in the black and white. Really.
Oh, it definitely does.
And from people we've talked to, they feel the kind of the same way too, I think.
Yeah, it could live either way, and there could definitely be. Is this a one shot, or is this a continuing?
It's a self-contained story where it's about 3 or 4 issues is what we're looking for.
Okay.
So nothing. We didn't want to go too crazy or grand, so.
No, that's really good advice. If anybody's watching who wants to do this, don't be an idiot like Will and I and conceive of a multiple dozen issue series. One shots are great. 3 issue, 4 issue miniseries are great.
Yeah.
4 issue shorts are great.
Issues.
Yeah.
It was mostly we got to fill each
I love
other
that
up.
ambition, though.
Make sure we were going to be on the hook for that long too. So.
Yeah. So, Brian, when you got did they send you a full script, or did they just send you a pitch? What was your thought when the project came to you?
They sent me the full script and some reference material, to show me kind of what they wanted the characters to look like. And yeah, I loved the script right off the bat. The characters are really well written, and it really made it easy for me to visualize what they would look like. And when they sent me the reference material, it was all wrestlers and African dudes. And so, I liked the pitch, off the bat. But then when they were kind of leaning towards, we're going to do this with people of color as the, protagonist and antagonist, and, kind of take this, I don't want to say whitewash, but kind of, that genre that's been mostly, Arnold Schwarzenegger and those kind of dudes, leaning in this direction. I was sold, so I was really into it. I really dig that idea.
No. Well, unfortunately, it's coming in as Facebook user, so I can't give the person who gave it credit, but beautiful looking book is right. And let's go to another beautiful looking book. We will come back, but we want to make sure at the beginning everybody gets a quick moment. And
I just want to say, Brian, your whole aesthetic is, I feel, underdressed. Podcast content. Your whole thing you got going on there is freaking awesome, man. Your whole environment.
I don't know if my computer froze or what, but I missed a bit of what you said.
Oh, I was saying I'm digging your studio or wherever you are. I don't know if it's a room in your house or but it's awesome.
I mean, you have perfect mood lighting for this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'm sorry, Jared had his flag behind him last week, so so the all the devils are here. They represent. So we gotta every I need to bring out. I don't know what I guess. I got Scottish. I got to bring out. I got some French. What is the mutt flag?
I think it's the American flag, maybe.
Okay, so no, but I like that you represent, and yeah, the mood lighting is pretty nice. All right, so let's check out Ruination. Right. I'll pick it up, and you can start. And Charlie Stickney has said that he is the elusive Facebook user. So so Charlie says, beautiful looking book, and I agree.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a great compliment.
So Ryan, are we moving on to Ruination at this point? Is that where we're going, Kevin?
I'm trying, yeah.
Okay,
there we go.
There we go. So Ryan, first off, I have to say, wow, great catch on your artist.
Thank you.
And it's a beautiful looking book.
Thank
Absolutely
you. Yeah,
beautiful.
I'm super lucky with my art team.
I would say there were 3 for 3 on art teams on the books this week. It's not just fantasy element; it's really amazing aesthetic that fits the atmosphere of each book really well.
Yeah, and is your artist is Julia? Is that right?
Yeah. So Julia Lally is the line artist, and then Katie Brown is the colorist.
They work really, really well together. I mean, I'm probably going to show my age because I, show my age every time. But there's a real a Mike Wieringo kind of vibe to this, at least from my point of view. It's really clean and it looks nice, really nice.
It's very, very classic fantasy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Julie has a really, really nice kind of like semi-realistic style that is not super dark. We are trying not to go super dark and gritty with this, particularly given that we're going to have some darker themes. But she's very good at, faces and emotion, which was super important to me. And Katie just kind of knocks it out of the park with the colors. She does double time with all of her pages, like even down to like the borders on a lot of the pages. She does these very thematic embellishments that just kind of like set the tone for everything. I really, really loved all the stuff that she does.
Well, how did you kind of get the team together, and what's the secret origin, to use a good old comic term, right?
I mean, I did my first comic project like right before the pandemic, and it was just me kind of on my own finding people. So I literally just did the typical thing of going to Facebook and Reddit and just posting and asking for people who were interested. And that's how I met Katie, my colorist, and Matthias, our letterer. They helped me with that first book, which was like a 6-story anthology. And when I was going to the story that Katie worked on involved crystals and magic, and she did such an awesome job on that. So I was like, all right, you're a shoo-in for Ruination. So then Julie, I found kind of the same way via Facebook groups, and she has her own fantasy series that she does in Italy called Puck. That is, kind of a similar style. So she was also very much a shoo-in for this project.
She a big hockey fan?
I don't even know if she'd know what hockey is if you ask her.
All right. Midsummer Night's Dream,
Yes,
probably
exactly.
more like
Shakespeare.
probably. Yeah. So we have really good news for Blake. He's already backed all 3 projects, so his wallet is safe tonight. Always appreciated, Blake. And you know what? Your wallet is not safe with us, and not sorry.
Yeah.
We're gonna try to get amazing books on the show. It just so happens that you beat us to the punch on the 3 this week. So. How did Ruination? What was the first inclination of the story to you?
I mean, this is just kind of one of those stories that, I had been working on in my head for a long, long time, and wasn't really sure how to get it down, and it had migrated formats over many years, and when I started getting back into comics, I started thinking like, oh, this might actually be a good format to do it in, and I really like art, so it would give me an excuse to work with some artists and do this completely new, what is a new medium to me, and still kind of just sat on it for a little bit. And then when I had my daughter, I kind of pushed me to say, like, you know what, I kind of want to have something down and something that she can hold in her hands, 10 years from now, when who knows what happens to any of us, which really kind of got emphasized to me during the pandemic.
Yeah.
I just kind of wanted there to be something, somewhat of a legacy, some part of me that she could have. So this was, a story I had invested so much time and thought into that I thought that this was the perfect thing that I wanted to do. To your point, I would have been an idiot to have a continuing series be my very first project. So I did Curiosities, the anthology series first, but then decided to just immediately jump into this because I was just so serious about it, and that's how it got made.
Well, Will likes to say that we're insane, not idiots. So if you prefer crazy to idiotic, you pick your poison. I think we're idiots. He thinks we're crazy. So, I mean, welcome to the team.
Yeah.
Hey, we can be
serialization. Yay.
All right, we're gonna get back to everything. I do want to ask. We're gonna get to All the Devils Are Here. The elephant that is invisibly in the room, in the world, came up organically. How has pandemic impacted your comic creating? Has it, or has it just been kind of business as usual? This is to everybody. How is comic creating in this brave new world?
I think it's actually helped it for me. It's given me a reason to not have to go out as much. Like a lot of times people like, oh, come do this, but now I can just kind of sit around and draw. And I've actually met a lot of people. And I was actually talking about this on Blake's show a couple days ago. Is that like when we were doing conventions and stuff, you kind of have your convention group. The same people you see at the conventions you go to. Like I'm over here on the West Coast, so I see all the people on the West Coast all the time. But when the pandemic happened, all these little bubbles of people kind of came together almost, right? So like a lot of people here in this group, I didn't even know until the pandemic happened, and now they're some of my people I talk to more than anybody, and so there's been kind of like this weird social aspect to it,
Mm-hmm.
And personally I've enjoyed that. But really quick, I'm sorry to interrupt here, but I got to know what's going on with that dog, Will. It's just sitting right there. I need to know what's up with that dog. What is going on?
That is our basset hound Otis, and the boys got my wife. You can go online and get submit a picture of your pet, and they'll generate this painting. So the name of this version is called the Ambassador, and we thought that was kind of funny because it's basset hound, so he's the ambassador. So
cool, that's awesome. I just had to know. It was so cool.
Every once in a while, will be running late and like, sorry, dog wouldn't walk.
Yeah. Hey, and you know, I like to think I'm fairly strong, but you know, lugging a 75-pound basset hound around gets old fast, real fast.
all dogs can do that stop and
Yeah.
triple their weight too. So I'm not doing the math on 75 times 3. Somebody else can.
Yeah.
Hi, Ignacio.
Hey.
Has anybody else? I mean, I
I
want
was
to say, Matt, that's beautiful to
Mhm.
find, you know, the positives in a negative. I love the way you look at it. Doug, what's it been for you?
I was going to talk about kind of off of Matt's point. He said that like all the bubbles and starting to come together and meeting people. For a lot of people, I didn't exist until the pandemic happened, you know, because I wasn't able to get to cons because I'm kind of like a homeward or locked inside kind of person because of my disability. And so for people to actually find me really helped me out. I felt like in joining those communities, I had more drive to get things accomplished that I wouldn't have had before. So I think just being able to meet and work with people that I wouldn't have worked with or even had a chance of knowing really helped me out.
That's great. I mean,
Yeah.
we it's so easy to dwell on the negatives of it. I love hearing this from. All right, now who's had a shitty situation? Let's go negative.
That's you.
Oh, all right, Bri.
Well, when they first announced like lockdown and all that, I thought, you know, like Matt did, like, oh, I'm gonna have a ton of time to draw, and I didn't think about the fact that schools would be shut down, and so all 4 of my kids were home with me, and 3 of them are in school, so I had to do the whole like, you know, remote teaching thing, relearn a bunch of math I forgot, and try to like get my kids to like focus and stare at their little iPads so that I could run and draw and work on stuff. And it didn't work out great. You know, I got next to nothing done because by the end of their school day, I was mentally drained, you know, along with them. Yeah. So it didn't work out great until things started opening up a little more.
My writing was very similar to yours. The first 6 months, I could edit existing scripts, but I couldn't sit down and start anything new. I couldn't start page 1 of anything, but I could go over anything that existed before I could work on, but I couldn't edit anything. And one of the first things that I wrote, my daughter, we were watching The Office, you know, I was like, well, we got a lot of time to watch TV now. Let's show her The Office. And she was like, I want to do an Office TV show. I'm like, well, about what? She's like, us. And so she and I sat down and wrote a stupid little 4-page, as if we were doing a faux documentary. And it, as dumb as that sounds, I stapled it together and I went, I can write something. Okay, all right. You know, like it still exists that I can write something. And no, we never filmed it. We just wrote it up. It's not great. I mean, it's fine. And Steve Carell won't answer. Well, Matt. All right. So Matt, you were talking to us about good stuff with the pandemic. Let's talk about good stuff with your comic. All the Devils Are Here. I'm going to pull up the screen.
Don't get me wrong. The pandemic was horrible. It's horrible.
Oh no. I understand. I think we've got some pretty great people who watch. I don't think they're going to pull the that out and attack you with it. I think it's understood.
Yeah, I don't want a quote going out. Matt says the pandemic was great. Don't quote that, please.
Thank God for the death and misery.
Yeah. And we had Jared on with us last week in another big group and talking about All the Devils Are Here. And he might have had 1 or 2 nice things to say about you. I don't know.
Jared's he is a really fun guy to collaborate with. I'll put it like that. He's great. I mean, it's been one of my best experiences working with people on a comic.
I kind of asked him how much input he had on how the demon characters were visualized, and his answer was none at all, almost zero. Was he being falsely modest, or is this all coming out of your sick, twisted head?
No, I mean he would say something like, for like the main demon, who you guys actually kind of only get like a halfway glimpse of. So I mean, like, because we actually held back a lot. So you need to know that going into this is that there's a lot of stuff you wanted to keep kind of secret. So you haven't really seen the crazier demons yet.
Wow.
And he had given me like a prompt, kind of like, I want it to be really iconic. I want there to be like a strong silhouette and stuff like that. So I would take that, and like for instance, the main demon, Corazon, I took everything that my wife is scared of and put it into one character to freak her out.
Wow.
She also, like, she edits it, right? She's the art editor. So like I put everything that like creeps her the hell out and put it all at once. Every time that character's on the page, she's like, I don't want to look at this. Like what happened? You're the art editor, you have to look. But basically what I do is I would come up with like 3 or 4 different kinds of things, and I would show him, and he would kind of tell me which ones he liked the most and stuff like that, and we would kind of go from there. So he definitely had input, but some of them I did just kind of go crazy with. But again, like Jared, one of the things that's great about him is his excitement and his just like you would show us, he would just like nerd out. You'd show him something, he'd be like, "Wow, this is amazing!" It's not. He wouldn't like give a bunch of notes or anything like that. He'd be really excited, and so he gave me a lot of bandwidth to play with,
How early were you on the project? Were you creating characters for him before he wrote the script? Did he come with a script when it started?
He came with a script, yeah, and he had already like kind of gone over as much as it was like a finalized script, and but what he would do is he would give me a lot of room to kind of like make it my own as well,
Mm-hmm.
which I really appreciate. It wasn't, sometimes you'll get scripts that are like really, really tight, like they know what they want, and that's good too. But with him, it's kind of like a middle ground. Like it wasn't too loose, it wasn't like too tight. Like I could play with it. I could suggest things and kind of make it visually, my own kind of thing.
Well, what are the inspirations that you brought to the book? Artistic inspirations.
Well, there was the one guy where I wanted to freak my wife out all the time. The main character, JC, so he definitely had an idea of kind of like the attitude that the character wanted, or would have. And it was the lead character from the prompt he gave me is he wanted to have the energy of the lead character from that Nolan movie that came out during the pandemic. Tenet. Yeah, he wanted to have that kind of energy. So I kind of worked with that, well dressed, that kind of stuff, and I gave him a bunch of different character models of like haircuts and facial hair and all that kind of stuff, and we just kind of would go through it from there. So that was definitely an inspiration, watching that movie, which I hadn't seen, and at the end of it I still don't really know what it was necessarily about, but it was a good movie. Constantine and the Keanu Reeves Constantine specifically was a like kind of like an inspiration for me. So I think I had just watched it and I was like, you know what, we need more of that kind of Constantine. Like don't get me wrong, Constantine's cool, but when I was younger and watching the Keanu Reeves one, I really liked that one. And other than that, just kind of, well, threw whatever I had in my head on there.
That's awesome. Brian, you said that they sent you like photos of wrestlers. Did you pull the personality from the wrestlers into it, or is it more of just a visualization?
It was a lot more of the visualization. What were the names of the guys that you sent, Doug?
One of the guys is Tamatanga. He's from the Bullet Club, if you guys follow wrestling at all. He's a big time heel kind of guy, but with like over the top mannerisms and facial expressions. I thought you really pulled from, maybe you watched a couple of clips, but really I felt like the sheets that you sent over really had some facial designs that I thought matched his.
Yeah. Yeah, like the reference material definitely, like, I didn't know, I kind of fell out of wrestling, but like I could recognize that they were wrestlers right away, so that kind of put in my head like experience with other like really big, like stronger guys that I've met, like when I started going to the gym a while back, and the physicality that those guys bring and how funny they are, and how like you think they're these serious guys because of how big they are and how imposing they are and how serious they are when they're actually like working out, and then they end up being like goofballs that really like are really into that physical comedy. You know what I mean? Like they know what they look like because they spend a ton of time working on it, so they know how to use it to like make you laugh and make you like not take them as serious. You know what I mean?
Look at James Gunn, what he's doing in the Suicide Squad and the Guardians of the Galaxy. He's taken 2 wrestlers now and made them look like total goofballs, but it works.
Yeah, you like them, and you know you should be intimidated, and you know how strong and powerful they are, but at the same time, like they're showing you like that's not what I'm about. You know what I mean? And it's endearing, I guess. You know, I don't really know how to put it.
One of my friends from college worked for WCW, and he had some backstage. He said that Randy Savage just called them Spencers because one day on the thing, for some reason, Jason had to take him to Spencer's. So for the next 3 years, whenever he saw the redheaded guy, he was like, "Hey, Spencer," and he would just walk away. That was the sum total of their relationship. But Jason has that until he dies. He's Spencer's to Macho Man. Do you, Ryan? Do you send characters like actors or anything to your artist as inspiration? How do you talk to your artist about creating the characters for Ruination?
So for all the main characters, I actually started off with a concept artist. For the most part, I tried to just stick with. I gave the concept artist the like backstory and some generic stuff like ethnicity and hair color and things like that, and just had her kind of do a bunch of different designs, and we kind of just picked what we thought fit best. I try not to, when it comes to kind of your BC or NPC type characters, I tried not to go too crazy with giving specifics. One, because I just don't want to create complexity for Julia and make her have to stick to unnecessary details, but also just give her the freedom to say like, hey, I feel like drawing this type of character today and this type of character today, because the nice thing about our world is that it is very diverse, and we can get away with doing characters that just look completely different all the time. We don't have the way that we set up the world, that it's not too, there are some rules around like dress and armor. Like all of our characters have very limited armor, but we're not stuck to a certain look within at least physical appearance for the character. So I gave her a lot of freedom in that respect.
Do you guys, as the artist, do you guys like? I know that you're probably, some of you, Brian, you're looking at your writers. So, blink 3 times if this is a bad question. Do you like being sent these things? Does it help you move forward, or does it constrain your creativity?
I like the approach they took, which is to send me pictures of real people and go like, it's this kind of thing. They kind of let me do, they gave me a ton of freedom. Okay. And kind of showing me a real person just kind of gave me, a feel of what direction they wanted to go. I find it hard to deal with like a list of things, because you could have the same list as another person and draw a completely different person, and then you're not matching what they have in their head. People who are a lot more open to they have a concept for their character and like an idea of who they want them to be, but not so much what they look like. that's a lot easier to work with, in my opinion.
Yeah. Will writes a book called Crossover Division, and it stars Hank and Hector. How were those characters created with your artist? Did you come with a very specific visualization?
I had some things like, he's mid-30s, got black hair, and he used to be a runner, but he's put on a few pounds. He's not fat, but he's not thin. And then, kind of let that slide. And then for Hector, I wanted Hector to be a little bit more physically imposing. So it was, I want him to be a little bit larger and have, some tribal tattoo that's visible here. And, he delivered on all of them. And then, with Betsy, who's showing up next issue, we'll finally get there. But, it's always, I'm not going to speak for the other writers here, but working with artists is, we get to talk to the wizards and they do things that we ask them to do. And it's really, really cool,
Yeah.
It's a guessing game, though. So many times with artists, it's like, hey, am I doing too much? And they think I'm overbearing asshole, or too little, and they're gonna call me a lazy asshole. So I just don't, it's hard to find that middle ground sometimes, because I've been called both ways, and I just I don't want to annoy anybody really.
Well, the common there is that we're just all assholes. Writers are just assholes, right?
We work on a script for a week or two, hand it off to an artist. They work for 3 months, and we're the ones who get invited on most of these. So, Brian and Matt, we're so happy to have you because we always say it: without an artist, there's no comic. So, but that doesn't mean that we don't say yes to every interview request and go out there and get all of the quarterback-like credit when it goes well. So Blake has a question. How did the pinup art style with Tart's protagonist come to be? I love the juxtaposition of the sexy demon hunter and the monstrous entities she goes up against. That is Ludovic's art style completely, and a lot of the stories how we put Tart together are based on what Ludovic likes to draw. I actually just picked up Tart 13 today in Fort Myers, so I drove for 5 hours today and picked this up for my Kickstarter backers. And basically, Ludo loves to draw sexy people, women more often, but just sexy people, all men or women. And he loves costumes and fashion. So some of the things I do, because it's a time travel book, if you haven't read it, is, you know what? She's back in the Renaissance time, and I'll give her 3 outfit changes. And I just tell Ludo what the timing is and find some stock images of what those costumes might look like, and I let him have fun. But as far as the demons go, I just say the demon. A lot of times my demons have powers that are, inside the sausage, very animal based, octopus, alligator, spider, and I just give him kind of what the demon needs to be able to do. And then I wake up the next day and there's 4 images in my email box, and all 4 are amazing. And he asked me which one, and I just go,
all of them.
And he usually picks the hardest one to draw, and then is mad at himself 3 months later because he's drawn this insane being for 3 months. So no, I get no credit for any of the visualization of Tart. That's all Ludo.
While we're talking about Tart, can I say Philhound variant cover? That was a.
I think I've got that. Yes, she. I just saw. I read Commander Rao, and I thought it was not just visually stunning, but emotionally a very powerful piece of work. And I was found out.
Everybody loves Commander Rao.
Yeah.
Everybody.
If you don't love Commander Rao, you haven't read it, I'm going to say. So go to your comic shop and pre-order it. I think you can still pre-order it. It's coming out. I found out she was going to come out with Scout, and I needed a variant cover. And I thankfully found her when she still had time in her schedule, because I'm going to grab it. I think you guys, she's not going to have time very soon when people see this image. So I'll be back in 2 seconds.
And Kevin doesn't take as much credit as he probably deserves. He's a genius. I mean, he says, "Hey, Ludo, draw whatever you want," and Ludo's like, "Yes!" And Ludo draws whatever he wants, and then Kevin makes it work. So he's a genius, but don't tell him I said any of this, okay? Yeah, that Kevin, he's such a hack, right?
Yeah, he's talking all kinds of crap about it.
Yeah.
You don't even want to hear what this guy was just saying.
I probably deserve it as long as it was bad enough. She sent 2 thumbnails. One was this and one was another one. I promise you the other one would have looked just as good. We just went with this one because it seemed so much more unique to anything else you would see. The other one looked like a real cool hero shot, and I think we were leaning for that, but we asked her which one she wanted to do more, and she said this one. So if the artist tells you they want to do one more than the other, I get the hell out of the way.
That's why you're a genius, man.
She posted the other one on Twitter. I was really impressed with that one too. I was like, wow, she just knocked both the ideas out the park right away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. So that's a good point. To show the thing. I don't know how to. Okay,
You did it.
I figured it out.
Yeah. Make yourself
This whole thing is a learning process. Here, this way you can see that.
That's gorgeous. I just love the
That's
composition.
awesome.
The colors on there. Yeah.
Yeah. And she matched Ludo's interiors with that really well. All right, now to everybody watching, I'm going to make myself small. You're welcome.
There we go.
That's better for everybody. Mostly my own psyche.
Kind of a quick question. I mean, we've hopefully been showering enough love on the artist because, again, there's no comics without the artist, right? But I'm a little curious from a writing standpoint. Kevin and I have worked together on a script. We're doing a crossover between Tart and Crossover Division, and that was kind of fun because we would kind of do a few pages and pass the baton, and he would do a few pages and pass it back, and I would do a few pages. I'm kind of curious how Doug and Leslie kind of work together as co-writers on your book.
You want me to feel? Oh, go
It
ahead.
was a little bit similar. Basically, after we had outlined the script and had our scene list going, pretty much what we would do is Doug would take, say, the first 3 pages. I would take the 3 after that, and we would write that scene there once we kind of knew the vibe we were going for, and basically meet up together and see what everything looked like, and kind of do some self-editing and make sure the style, the tone was consistent, the characters' voices were consistent, and then pretty much keep doing that back and forth until we got to the end of the book, pretty much.
Cool.
But you did the outline together, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We did a thing called Snowflake Method, where you just slowly build up the plot structure. You take maybe like a sentence of what the story is about, then you add maybe 3 more sentences of what the act should look like, and then from there you take and you add like a paragraph of what each act should be, and you just slowly build up what the characters should be in the same process of 1 sentence, paragraph, a full page, and it's just like a slow process. And for me, who doesn't really work a lot with structure, the guy who just kind of goofballs around and shotguns on the page when he's writing, it was kind of a learning process, and it was pretty fun.
So would this be something like, is this a writing method people can research for themselves?
Yeah, there's definitely a website. I can't remember the exact off the top of my head,
If
but
you Google it, Google
the
search
probably should come up.
No, that's pretty cool.
I remember reading about a writer that would always make your scripts kind of additive. Start with this and then you add more to it, and you add more to it, so that you're not
similar.
It was I think it was Warren Ellis or something, who's a favorite writer of mine, who is not so favorite anymore, but that's a whole other story. So there you go. Still love his work.
Intimidating when you're just going slowly and you're figuring out piece by piece instead of going like, what does the full story need to be, and then just like, oh wait, I don't know what the overhead should be until I get these.
You know, it's funny. I've been working on something here lately that I've got kind of the whole outline set, but it's really loose. Like, you know, this happens, this happens, and this happens, and I've kind of just let the scenes kind of go until they feel right. And I think I'm up to page 50, and I'm maybe 20% of the story at this point. I'm like, well, wow, this is really interesting, and I probably will never get it made because it's going to be 250 pages. But it's fun to write anyway, so there you go.
That's why I write full script, because I'm afraid if I wrote Marvel Method, I would either have a 9-page story with 3 panels on every page, or a 63-page story with 40 panels on every page. I don't know the geography of a page, so I have to write full script and send it to Ludo. But my caveat, Doug, to how to do too much without looking lazy is I do too much, and then I tell him, change anything you want to. You know, just like, this is how I saw it on the page, but if the page comes back completely differently, I'll deal with it. And I don't know if it works, but so far he still works with me.
That means it works then.
Yeah. How about you, Ryan? Do you write full script, or you do Marvel Method, or what?
I mean, I definitely write full script, but I try to be careful with the details. I try to be very specific about what is important. And sometimes I'll suggest things, but I'll put, feel free to change this. Especially when it comes to colors, because I usually trust my colorist with color choices and not myself. But, you know, like with this topic, I always think it's so important. Just at the end of the day, you have to have a conversation with your art team and ask them what do they prefer, and try your best to deliver to that. I think it's just something that people don't do enough. And you see that question a lot, like, what's the best way to write the script? And the answer is the best way to communicate to your art team. So, you know, some projects you're going to want to have that super detailed script, and sometimes you're not. And it's really just comes down to what the art team needs, I think.
I think I remember sometime Neil Gaiman described a script as just a long letter to his artist.
Yeah.
And that was it, just a long letter. You know, here's what I'm thinking. How you doing? Blah blah blah. And here's the story. And then they would go off and do their magic. Because artists are magic people.
And I think too, people underestimate how much conversation happens outside of the script. It's not like you throw the script and then they throw something back at you. Usually there's a discussion being had at some point. So sometimes I may give something bare bones, and then Julia will come back to me and say, like, I really don't feel like figuring this out. Can you just give me some suggestions or some references? And I'll do it at that point. But you know, these projects work best when it's a back and forth discussion, not throwing things over the wall to each other and just walking away.
That's certainly true. Brian and Matt, from the artist's perspective, what have you done? Have you ever worked a Marvel Method style, or has everything been full script?
Brian, I'll let you take it.
Okay. I've done a couple. Full script is probably my favorite. I'm not a fan of when a writer tells me what panel. I mean, I can do it, and you know, like, I understand everyone's creative method is different, so it's not like I won't take a job for that. But when it's like panel 1, this, panel 2, this, panel 3, that kind of takes the problem solving out of the problem solving that I like out of, you know, comic art. Full script is cool because then you just kind of close your eyes and visualize it yourself, you know. And so yeah, that's the Marvel Method too, right? Is just like a very bare bones, this is what needs to happen, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a ton of freedom, and that's cool too. But I like the input that the writer gives in.
For me, I think it depends on who the writer is who's doing the Marvel method. Like sometimes I've worked with somebody who will give the Marvel method, and then you'll figure out all the roughs and you'll do all this stuff, and you'll turn it in, and they'll be like, well, actually, I was thinking it'd be a lot more like this. And you're like, well, okay, I guess I just wasted like a lot of time, But then on the other hand, there was one project in particular, and I won't say what it was. It was a long time ago, but he would really specifically say, I need all this stuff in there, and he put all this dialogue in there, and so then you're stuck trying to get something to work that's just not working. Mm-hmm. And the Marvel method, a little bit more of the Marvel method into that kind of situation, would do it a lot of good, So it really just depends on who it is you're working with. If it's somebody who can give you the panel structures and then be cool with whatever, be cool with like how you get it to work, mm-hmm. That's great. But then, if it's the Marvel method and it's someone who just doesn't know what they want yet, and you're trying to help them find what they want, that becomes a long process,
Well, that's a whole lot more work on an already overburdened artist, in my opinion. Especially if you go into it not expecting that level of engagement that you're going to have. I mean, sounds exhausting, actually.
Yeah. Go ahead, please.
I would just say, I actually find that a lot with clients outside of comics that I do stuff for. Is a lot of the time you're kind of just helping them try to figure out what it is that they're looking for, and that can be a lot of fun, depending on how many iterations you have to go through. Like they'll have kind of an idea, but then you're basically just trying to help them find what it is that they actually want when they don't know. So that could be 10 iterations, that could be 2. So really, it just depends on who the person is that you're working with.
Well, that turns a 22-page comic into a 220-page comic if you do 10 iterations, right?
Yeah.
That's nightmare fuel is what that is.
Yeah, and if they're paying for all 220 pages, that's fine. But if they're paying for the final 22, that's really not.
Yeah.
Right. And it's usually the later, I find.
Yeah.
I think that I would try the Marvel method if I was in a studio with the artist, so that like we literally could go back and forth in a conversation, and the artist could help me find what I was looking for in the conversation.
On the spot.
On the spot, and then I could do what Stan Lee did and then leave and then come back and and do the dialogue. But Stan was there. Yeah. He was there for the first conversation. So, it might have even been just like, Fantastic Four meets God, but still he was there and we're still waiting for, seeing Galactus on things. So obviously it works somehow. I'm not going to make this a Lee versus Ditko and Kirby conversation because they're gods to me, any of them. But I can't imagine doing the Marvel method through email. I don't know how to. I wouldn't even know where to start.
I mean, you have Zoom though.
Yeah,
it's true. That's true.
Well, what you just described, I think that's actually kind of why the Marvel method kind of worked, is because Stan Lee was super busy all the time, but he was also there, right? So he could talk to the guys. When I believe they used to actually have like a line, right? Like all their artists would just sit in a line and they would just do this stuff, and he'd kind of be there.
Yeah, the bullpen was a real thing. It was a real thing in a real place, which is kind of amazing. But it's better now because you don't have to live in New York to be a working artist, which is nice. But you don't get that one-on-one.
Yeah,
True.
Exactly. So, question on the script format for the artists. I mean, one of the things I try to do is, provide links to like a Dropbox folder that has, any reference that I refer to. But I've also seen other artists say that, hey, that's kind of cool, but just put the picture in the document, and just move on. There's no link to follow. It's just right. It's all right there in the script. So, what What do you guys do? Do you care? Do you have an opinion, or is this just us writers being neurotic because that never happens?
Personally, I like the Dropbox idea a little bit more because I like to print the script out, and then I could also kind of have it there, so I could be reading the script, and I can on one of my screens pull up the Dropbox and do all that rather than having to. If you have all the pictures there, I have to print out like 200 pages or something,
It's an Alan Moore script, right? For an 8-page story, here's your 220 pages. Sorry.
That reminds me of the Alan Moore. Someone said, I read, I'm not sure who, they said that Alan Moore would give you a 100-page script for a 20-page comic. Every single panel would be, page and a half of description. And at the end would be the line, I don't know, that's how I saw it. You draw it any way you want to.
Didn't he make one of his artists go crazy or something? I remember hearing a story about one of the comics he drew where he made the artist go like, I don't know if like full on crazy, but just kind of crazy, and then they had to replace him. And that artist also wasn't that like a thing?
Yeah, the replacement for I can't pronounce his name. Bill Straczynski. How you say that?
Sienkiewicz.
Yes, all right. Yeah.
So big numbers.
Yeah,
Okay.
Replacement. Yeah, the replacement artist. Yeah, he did some of the work, and I think he ended up burning it because he just went off the rails.
Yeah, he just went nuts. Yeah.
But the thing about Alan Moore, though, he could draw all this stuff too if he needed to do the work. So if it could be done, he would do it. He's not just going to ask the artist to do something he knew that's going to be possible.
Yeah, he started out as a cartoonist for himself, but realized he could draw like one comic every 6 months, and he could write 6 comics in a week, and it's better than anybody else. So that's why he went to. But you're right, he did have the actual facility to draw, which thankfully I do not. So so I'm not going to turn into a wizard that drives any artists insane.
Gaiman can also draw to a certain extent, right? I mean, what is it with these British guys being, geniuses? It's kind of annoying.
I think that Gaiman can thumbnail okay, but I don't think he could draw his own comic. I would put it that way. Did you pay any attention to the Miracle Man, Spawn, McFarlane, Gaiman lawsuit?
Oh, a little bit. It's bad. That's been a long time ago, though, hasn't it?
Well, they were showing they took some of Neil Gaiman's thumbnails as evidence in the trial, and they put it upside down, and the lawyer didn't realize it. And apparently, in the trial, Neil Gaiman screamed, "They're not that bad."
Well, I'm looking at it.
Nice. So do we have? Let's see. I'm just looking for comments right now.
No, we're good on the comments. Why don't we go through each project one more time real quick, and we'll put up the link, and we'll talk about each one in depth. And then anybody who wants to hang with Will and I while we go over the projects that we've talked about earlier can. And you can also go get in your warm beds and dream about Kickstarter backers tomorrow. So let's see. Let's do it in the opposite order. I think All the Devils Are Here was the last. So let's talk about that one first, Matt.
Okay. You just want me to give the pitch again?
Just what is your favorite tier for somebody who would be joining into this Kickstarter?
$200 one. I'm not
Yes.
saying that.
Whatever's the highest.
That's the one.
My favorite tier is the person who puts in $1,000 and says, "I don't want a reward."
Yeah. That's the one. Actually, I mean, I'm dead serious. $200. That is my favorite one, because for that one, we're actually going to do Dungeons and Dragons like short campaign, and anybody who buys that one can come and play with us. And I am actually really looking forward to that one. I know it's expensive, but I promise it's going to be a lot of fun. And you get all the
Alright.
comics. You get like 1 billion comics, however many we put up there. I think it's my entire back catalog and Jared's entire back catalog.
Even the
Yeah.
the physical ones?
I believe so. Yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah. And a commission and all that stuff.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, it sounds like you created value for, a quote unquote expensive tier. But yeah, that, a D&D campaign is a lot of time with the creators. So that's cool.
Plus a commission, plus back catalog. Yeah, you
You get a lot. You get a lot. Yeah.
You need to make that more expensive because somebody should have jumped
I
on.
messed it up.
18 people should have jumped on that. Yeah.
I'm
We
gonna
have a couple, and I'm excited about it. Honestly.
I'm gonna bring up one comment from earlier tonight. I guess your wallet isn't so safe, is it, Blake?
Watch out.
All right. What is your favorite tier on Ruination?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, unless somebody else has been looking at the campaign.
Yeah.
Leslie, what's your favorite tier on Ruination?
Well, actually, I really love that Paper Cat variant cover. It's gorgeous.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is one of my favorite pieces that we've done for this series.
I'll try to find it. I was just going to do the things, but if there's a
Look
specific
at it.
cover.
It's breathtaking.
Yeah, we've been trying to get better at matching our prompts with the strengths of the guest artists that we pick.
There it is.
And Paper Cat just does such an amazing job with realistic characters. And we
Go
just
back
knew,
up on the page a little bit, I think.
Oh,
Kevin.
this one.
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, look at that.
we just knew once we found the reference for this that she would be perfect for this. So yeah, I think my personal favorite tier is our kind of like all-in collectors tier, which has all those variant covers on it. I love the variant covers that we did for this Kickstarter. We'll say my favorite stretch goal that we're doing. I wasn't sure about this originally, but the team talked me into doing temporary tattoos this time. So the insignia that one of our main characters has on our hands, we've got the temporary tattoos that you can put on if we hit a certain dollar amount.
Oh yeah, those are fun. Those are really fun.
I know, and I
Interactive.
had to test them out, but I couldn't put them anywhere visible because it would look funny at work. So I've got a bunch on my stomach right now that I've been trying to wash off.
So at what stretch goal do you get the real tattoo?
Yeah.
if we can hit 100K.
Yeah.
Man, your body is your temple, man.
Yeah. I'm so much cheaper than that. I am so much cheaper than that.
Sometimes when we hit $100, I'm like, maybe I should get a tattoo.
Yeah.
All right. So we put Leslie and Doug on the hook for the 30 seconds. So let's put Brian on the hook for what is your favorite tier on the Savage Wizard Kickstarter campaign?
Well, my answer would have been the $100 one where I draw you into the book and guarantee that you die a very gory and memorable death. But I'm pretty sure I got a text message saying that we sold out.
Nice.
Right?
It can still be your favorite tier, even if it's been sold out. That is okay. We'll give you a bonus tier though that somebody could back if they're watching.
Yeah.
Leslie, what about yours?
If you like fine art and Frazetta type arts, I recommend getting that Centerman cover.
That is a heck of a cover.
Yeah, that art's amazing.
All right, I'll try to pull it up.
He is such a sweetheart, and I'm allowed to say crazy man. He just reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you want to cover?" And then came through. So it was really amazing. This one right here.
This one.
Oh wow, that is nice.
Yeah.
We were gonna throw things like our names on it and the logo, and then we said nah. So and that's the cover as is. It's going to be like that. And if anybody's watching right now, if you see this other variant cover right there by Maria Wolf, our friend Matt, who's on the stream with us, is going to be coloring it very soon.
Oh, wow.
So
Oh, cool.
synergy.
Doing a little bit of coloring, you know.
All right. Gentlemen, we appreciate it. Thank you very much for joining us. Will and I are going to do our best to talk up the campaigns that have already been on the show. You're welcome to join us, and you are welcome to say goodnight and enjoy your evening.
I have to go to a funeral tomorrow, so thank you for having on.
I'm sorry, Doug.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a very good reason to sign off and get some sleep. So peace to the family.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Nice to meet you, Doug.
See you, Doug.
See that?
My excuse sucks. I'm just old and tired.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
My weakness, but that's the truth, because I'm almost 40 and I'm falling asleep.
And you said you have 4 kids, so I have 1 child, and you had me at 4 kids. Go to bed, dude. Go to bed.
All right, man. Thank you.
Very nice to meet
This was
you.
Really fun.
Nice to meet you.
It was nice. You other guys as well.
All right, you guys hanging, or you taking off?
I'll hang for a few
Stay.
minutes.
Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Awesome.
I also have multiple kids to be watching in the morning. So I'm gonna say, thanks so much for having me on. This was a blast.
It was great to meet
Nice to
you.
meet
Likewise. Y'all have a great night.
Good night.
you too.
All right, now this is the hardest part for Will and I, because we do this late at night, and I'm usually at least a half a bottle or more in. So now we have to remember what people said weeks before. All right, Will, you want to go through and find them, and I'll see if I've got the banners up?
All right. Let's see. What do we have here? I've got, let's see, by visibility. Let's see, expired. Travis Gibb. He was on here. That ends September 28th. That's the one that's ending the soonest. So expired.
Absolutely. I thought I had this. So Travis Gibb told us that this is a story of as if the entire world was the Hawaiian Islands and oxygen is on short supply. And that's where the term expired is coming from. It's expiring, and the whole community is fighting over it. And I thought I had it, and I do not. So look up expired #1, Travis Gibb. It's definitely a campaign worth checking out. You brought up by visibility. That's Kat and Phil's, and I do have that banner. It's an anthology following many different stories, just a slice of day in the life of, and anything that bisexual creators wanted to talk about their journeys. So definitely, they're close to hitting 1,000 backers. So it'd be really neat if you can check out that campaign and get them over 1,000.
And next up, we have The Lunatic, the Lover, and the Poet. That's on
Brian.
September 29th. Brian, yeah. Brian's a cool dude. Had a lot of fun chatting with him when he was on.
Yeah, he did me dirty, though, because he was drinking bourbon, and I thought maybe I could do bourbon the next week, and I did. And that was the one where we went till 2:20, and I was hurting the day after. That's why I came back to red wine. I can control myself a little better. So I don't know if Brian knows what he did to me by having his bourbon on the chat. But this is basically a community community college theater production of Midsummer Night's Dream, and a murder happens. And so it's sort of a slasher horror around a college community theater.
Yeah, I think he described it as Nancy Drew meets Scream. I think was his kind of high concept. It looks really great. It looks great, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and he's got Black Cotton and out with Scout Comics, so definitely a writer to be paying attention to.
And now we have the most important comic masterpiece.
Oh yes, wait. Let me see if I can find the importance of Dead Skins 1 through 5. Absolutely Shakespeare, if you could come back to life. would shit his pants at how important Clay Adams' Deadskins is. It is a zombie comedy about a dandy who comes back to the West and basically finds himself as, for some reason, able to survive a zombie apocalypse that is basically all Indian tribes are zombies. They kill everybody in town except this dandy, and he doesn't know why. And it's got Custer's Last Stand. It's got a drunk old cowboy who is married to his donkey, and that is
Have relations.
It's a very consummated marriage. There is no joke too lowbrow to be in Deadskins, and that's why we love it.
Clay Adams is truly
Sick individual.
A writer of our generation. Once in a generation writer. And Clay, I hope you use that as your next pull quote, man.
It's funny.
All right.
I just saw. By the way, I found expired. I knew I had it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of blood in Deadskins.
Yes,
Opening
sir.
page. Wow.
Yeah, it's a fun one. It's basically I wrote, when I read the first issue, I wrote him an email and he reminded me of it last week. I said, it feels like Seth Rogen wrote a script. It feels like Robert Rodriguez directed a script written by a horny Seth Rogen, and it was only put out in grade B theaters. You know, like it's definitely, it's just pulp and dumb and fun and full of blood.
Lots and lots of blood.
Do we have everyone's running, or did the others expire? That was on Travis.
Yeah, Miskatonic funded. I think all the others have funded. Let me take a quick look.
It's an amazing time on Kickstarter.
Destiny New York funded just today, I think. Black Market Heroin by Russell Nahelty. I'm trying to see what else we've got here. Miskatonic.
Well, I'm going to put one up that it has not been on the show. Cabbage Comics Booty Pen. The artist that created this just does this thing on Twitter that they I can't remember their exact verbiage to it, but it's just this aggressive positivity. And so they'll just be like, it's Friday night, it's time for aggressive positivity, send me your links. And so you'll send like your Kickstarter link, and they're like, Deadskins is the bloodiest thing I've ever seen. There's nothing better than blood everywhere, and Deadskins is great. And that's it. And it's just the most fun thing. And then they launched this Kickstarter, and I was like, I'm getting a pen, because that made me feel so fucking good. So they haven't been on the campaign, but Cabbage Comics Booty Pen. If you want to just return some aggressive positivity, that's a campaign for you to check out. So, gentlemen, you stayed long enough, so you can see. I did pick up the Tart. I'm gonna make myself big again. So, for our virgin foil, we had this image, and we talked to the printer, and they actually created a print that's half foil and half regular cover.
The 90s child inside of me just fainted, I think.
So it's funny. I had said that we were gonna talk about it, and I forgot, but that's okay, because this is about you guys, not me. But but it's fun.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I just Ludo created the cover, and we sent it to the printer, and I do what I do best. I said, what are you thinking? And I got out of the way, and it was really cool. He's like, we could do foil on the part of the image that's monstrous, and everything else can be regular. And it really does. It pops. So I'm excited about it.
Well, are you guys back in any other campaigns right now that you want to give a shout out to?
Oh yeah. Let's see.
because hey, we'll look at them too.
Yeah.
That we haven't talked about. The Red Wave.
Ooh, I don't know that
Have you
one.
heard of this one? Let me open that up. Yeah, this guy's a really nice guy. He was Nick backed our Kickstarter, and so we took a look at his, and it's really interesting, like feudal Japan, a story set in feudal Japan, and the artwork is just amazing. Did you find it, or do you want me to put it in the chat or something?
Actually, I'll find it up here, and we'll look through it.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
I've got it right here. I'll pop it in the chat for you, Kevin.
I'm afraid if I click on it, I might mess up the string. So I'm just going to
okay.
We're still new, and I'm really a technophobe. So all right, now I got it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one.
So they've got 4,500 out of a $4,100 goal. So they are funded. 36 hours to go.
204 backers. Awesome. That is.
Oh wow! Look at that image.
Oh yeah, just wait till you get down to the interior pages. They are, yeah. Look at these.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that is slick.
Yeah, it's almost over.
All right. We're gonna have one of those, a live backing. Explain yourself. We're gonna do it. Go down there and find the first physical, because I don't read digital enough. So I have to, and I understand. I'll pay the £8. I understand.
Yeah, there's this one page 3, where it's kind of jumpy between art styles while he's like telling the story. It's super cool. And and I know this is like super nerdy also, but like the lettering is fantastic. Just
shipping is charged at a later date with backer kit though, which.
But ooh, that's not my favorite.
Yeah, I know. But he's upfront about it, so that's cool.
That's the danger of a live. So here's the deal. I am personally against charging shipping after the fact in Kickstarter. That's my own personal. I don't think it's right. I understand why people do it, but I do think that I should know what it costs to get the comic when I back it. I should
it's
know.
Not a good surprise. I mean, like you know, you get that thing. Oh, hey, but if you want your book, it's like $12. You're like, oh, dang.
Yeah. So here's what I do. I respect anybody's right to run their campaigns the way they do. There might be 2 really cool campaigns running right now that we did not invite the creators onto the show because I would have to say that. And I'd rather this be a real positive talk about campaigns as opposed to why the fuck are you doing that? But that's all right. I backed it and that's cool. I figured because it was from another country, I was just that £8 was fine. But
another one, the Arcane Cocktail Enthusiast. You know about this one?
Man, you already got me once. I'm not fucking doing that.
I got 4 more to sell you. You got
it. Now I understand why we vet these, Will.
Yes, exactly.
All right. So what's the next one?
The Arcane Cocktail Enthusiast.
Arcane Cocktail Enthusiast.
This is by Jeff Ryder. It's number 3 in the series, but it's got like the catch up. You can catch up, and it's a San Francisco based like supernatural monsters and stuff in it, but it looks really good. Jeff and I we lived in San Francisco at the same time. I was born and raised there before I transplanted, but we actually never met each other until COVID, until we all met.
Oh, wow.
Which was very strange, but we had never run into each other. But yeah, that's the one right there.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks real fun. He just did another one. He did a Sherlock Holmes kind of a play on Sherlock Holmes, Captain Watson, not too long ago.
Oh,
That's really
I
good.
kind of remember that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're transplanted now. I mean, I've been to San Francisco a few times, and I love the city. I mean, it's just
Oh yeah.
awesome. But so where are you located now?
We moved up. We moved up north to right outside of Portland. So we're in the Pacific Northwest now.
Cool.
Us and about 9 million other Californians.
People.
All at the same time too.
I was checking to see who the letterer is because the lettering looked really cool. Cardinal Ray. I'm new to that letterer, but it was really good.
It's also the coolest
stuff.
name ever, Cardinal Ray.
Yeah.
Oh, she did Crowded. Okay, so yeah, the big deal. Big deal letterer. No wonder it's pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
No, this looks like a good one. I'll look at it a little closer tomorrow. I'm not going to make the same mistake I just made. And the funny thing is, I do that. I'll be like, I'm not going to back this campaign because they're doing this thing, and then like 29 days later, I'm like, why didn't I back that campaign? It's so good, and I back it. And then 3 months later, I'm like, why did I back this campaign? Oh, wait. All right. And then I've got to decide: am I going to pay it and get the book, and hate that I did that, or am I going to say F you and not pay the extra? But then they got my money anyway, and then they're just laughing at me. So it's this push pull where I'm just like, and I get it. And I actually had a creator that I reached out to, and I said, I understand why you use this tactic, and that creator was offended by the word tactic, and I was like, okay, fine, strategy. You're making a choice to do this. I don't think the word tactic is an insult, is it? I mean, it's a tactic if you bake backing in or charge immediately. Right? Or is the term tactic when you're making choices, is that insulting? It was to one person. I'm going to tell you that right now.
I mean, it's a weird kind of. I mean, I don't think tactic carries like some kind of negative weight enough where it would be offensive to me. You know?
Yeah, it was over like email, so maybe everything can be misconstrued by email.
Yeah, like if it was like manipulation or something, I could see getting offended over something like that. But yeah,
right. My theory is, if I'm charging $10 for my comic and then $7 for shipping, and I say it's $17, or I pay $10 and charge $7, then people know they're paying $17. If someone says my comic is $15 and then they charge $8 later, I've looked like the asshole for charging $17.
Yeah.
And they've looked like the good person for charging $15, and it's going to cost the person $23 in the end. And that doesn't bother me as much as how many people do that and go, oh, I don't like Kickstarter, and they close their account. Because I wouldn't be doing comics if Kickstarter didn't exist. I would have
Same here.
lost all my money and put my tail between my legs and run home. So it's more for just keeping the landscape of comics, of Kickstarter, fertile and positive.
The only argument that I really have in favor of it, but I mean, because I am not I'm not in favor of the whole idea of having to find out later what it costs either, especially the first couple of times it happened. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? And I had to pay $12 all of a sudden. I didn't even know what this was. But there were a couple Kickstarters that I ran, like I think it was like 5 years ago. I did an anthology, and by the time the anthology came out, like as we ran the Kickstarter and it came out this, like I think it ended in like February, and then we shipped it out during the summer. And by that time, mailing had actually gone up so much that it kind of shifted our entire budget, right?
Yeah.
And when something like that happens, because like we had looked at, okay, it's going to cost us much, and then it had gone up like $1, and then when there was like 700 something backers,
Yeah.
and we were like, oh crap, that's like a lot more money. That's like $700 extra that we had to pay, and in a situation like that, I could see it, but I would almost, like, as somebody who backs a project, I would almost rather like have them say, oh, it's going to be 15, and the person added like an extra 5 on there, like we added 5 for shipping just in case it goes up, and pay a price that's even more than it actual cost, and they could just have that extra money than not know what I had to pay,
Yeah.
Personally.
It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because like the creator that took tactic as an insult was saying that like they had an issue and lost a lot of money, and they needed to do it, but psychologically it looks like you're manipulating someone, even if you're not. If you're charging exactly what it costs. But like there's a way to do it too. Like this last time in BackerKit, I made a huge mistake, and it probably cost me a lot of money, because the first like 3 books for anyone getting a physical shipping was supposed to be free, because I'm shipping priority. I can fit 3 more comics. It's not going to change my pricing. Well, somehow I did something wrong, and people got charged like $8 for those first comics. And I'm sure people said, screw Kevin, I'm not paying this $8. I shouldn't have to. I get that. But like when I realized I did, I just PayPal'd back people $8. When I was like, hey, this wasn't part of the plan. And I gave them their money back. And when I've done shipping internationally and messed up, and I've charged like $21 before, and when I actually put the postage on, it was $11. So I emailed all those people and I said, hey, I screwed up. I charged you way too much. Do you want me to PayPal you back? Half the people said yes, and half the people said keep it. And everybody was happy. So I'm like, you can overcharge a little bit. Now, when I've screwed up and I'm on the hook for $10 on shipping, I got to pay it. But I feel like I'm paying to learn, I don't know. It's tough. I know that everybody's coming into this just to make comics. I really don't believe it's evil. I don't believe it's wrong. But I do think that traditionally, when you crowdfund on Kickstarter, you should be telling them exactly how much money you're going to spend at the moment.
So question about this, because I've actually never done, I've never done the thing where you, I've never used BackerKit yet. There's many times I wish I had, or a few times I wish I had. So when they do the thing where they charge you when they're ready to ship, is that calculated? Like, is that price calculated by BackerKit from what they it's going to cost this much to ship? This is how much they have to pay, right? Is it like that, or does the person running the Kickstarter actually go like, I'm going to charge $10?
The person running the Kickstarter chooses it.
Hey, yeah, I don't like that.
You can do
yeah.
I was under the
weight-based
impression
shipping. With Kickstarter, you could do weight-based shipping, but since I think I charged on my last Kickstarter. I tried to build in, but then I wanted a little bit of buffer because there's so much change right now. So I think I just charged $3 flat shipping for US, and then like $25 for international. And I've already kind of decided that I'm going to be paying extra for international. I did on the first issue ship to Tokyo, and it was like $45. I was like,
yeah,
thanks for backing.
International's crazy.
I'll suck. The international's just nuts, and it's shipping is just, if Kickstarter could do weight-based, or I feel like this is a problem that Kickstarter could solve. It's just, well, Kickstarter is so much larger also than just comics,
Yes, Ignacio, please learn from our mistakes. We've made so
International
many.
shipping.
International
That-
shipping is the devil.
Seriously, yeah. Take international shipping. Don't if you don't have to do it, don't even do it. That's because I've had problems. Like so for the last one I was telling you about the anthology, is I got these boxes, right? And I packed these. I put bubble wrap around it. I put I even put like paper towel roll thing in there so that like it wouldn't smash up against the edges. And those boxes would show up like someone in England would get it. And they would send me a picture and be like, the book showed up fine, but look at the box. And there'd be like somebody just took it out and was like kicking it and throwing it against the walls. And you paid like $25 to do that. It's crazy.
It was funny. Did you guys back the Unseen Art of Jack Katz? It was by Liam Sharp.
Liam's book, yeah.
Dude, that thing would have stopped a bullet. Okay, he had it. He's got this kind of this foamy paper type stuff around it. Then that was in bubble wrap inside a box, and then that box was in another box. And you could
I saw him
use a
packing
shield.
So Liam's actually a pretty good friend of mine. When I was in California, he lived close to me, and I used to work at his company. And I've met Jack Katz, and that dude is a character. And those original pages are absolutely that guy. I mean, they're stunning. I mean, they are stunning, and that book is pretty amazing. But I remember them like going over the packing of that, and it was just
Actually, it's cloth. It's kind of a cloth thing. So that's the book inside the cloth thing.
Yeah.
And it was in like 2 separate boxes and bubble wrap and all kinds of stuff. And I've been meaning to post out and say dude, Cat could use this as a shield. And I haven't done it yet, but it was just, it was so, I almost felt like, damn, they wasted shipping on me. That was too nice,
Yeah. Speaking about bullpen, Jack Katz was in the bullpen for a while.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful book. It really is.
We had a guy down here, and I'm blanking on his name right now, who was one of the first background artists on the Captain America show, Alan Bellman. And he did all the shows down because he lived, he passed away, I think, last year, but he lived probably 20 minutes north of me. And just he and his wife come in, and she'd always dress in all like Captain America stuff next to him. And he was just, the most fun guy. And he had a million stories. But apparently he saw the writing on the wall in the 60s and left comics and went and made money and retired with money because he was like, there was no money in comics. But at like 82 years old, he found out about conventions and went out and drew. I actually think he drew my daughter with Captain America. I think it's on this wall. Give me 2 seconds. I'll see if I can grab it.
That's amazing.
So, hey, Ryan, I saw you posted, is it Ennead, The Rule of Nine? An epic fantasy saga? Okay, cool. We'll bug Kevin to take a look at that in a minute. And here he's back.
Oh, yeah, this one. Sorry, I just got real excited.
I got it.
Oh, cool.
Oh, wow.
There.
Yes, you embiggened yourself so that we can see it. Awesome.
It's so hard to get it in the right spot. And about 6 months later, I saw him at a convention, and he was selling it as a print. He just took our name off of it.
Nice.
I was like, that's awesome. And then 2 months later, I saw him, and I pointed at it, and he goes, "You want to buy it?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, no, I already bought the original. I'm good."
You got the hang of conventions real quick.
Yeah. I do not mind you making $10 off the next person with them, but no, I already paid for the original. I'm good.
Ryan put in our private chat here, Ennead, The Rule of Nine. It's an epic fantasy saga.
Yeah, so there's 2 campaigns I threw in there. Both are more fantasy campaigns.
Okay, I'm gonna try to just click it, and if we disappear, good night. And if we don't, then I know that I can do it from now on.
Awesome.
Okay, I think
Hi,
we're still
Kevin.
alive.
You're still
All
alive.
All right, cool. So this is Iliad. Iliad. All right.
I'm actually going to head out, get some dinner. But thank you guys.
Matt, it was
Yeah.
great meeting you. Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
nice meeting you. Thanks for showing up.
Of course.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh yeah, that's a really cool cover.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
this is JL. He's another fantasy writer who he gets really, really into world building for his series. I think this is issues 1 through 6. It's a pretty cool series that I recommend people check out.
Nice. Who's the artist on the book?
See if I can get down to the creator page. I'm not sure. I don't know, but they're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember who it is.
They'll find it, and we'll go to the other one you put up. Branches.
Entwined. Yeah. So this is actually a graphic novel by the artist who does our main covers for Ruination. Fantastic artist, fantastic person. She's been working on this for quite a while and doing our covers kind of on the side. I don't know the story in detail, but it looks really neat, and she does really nice art. The book plate that she did for this looks beautiful. So I recommend people check it out.
Yeah, it's black and white, and I noticed real quickly it's manga size, so I'm guessing it's manga influenced.
Yeah.
Looking at the lettering, I would say definitely influenced, whether it's is or isn't. No, cool. All right.
Awesome.
How long does she have?
Looks like 5 days, I think. Is that right?
Well,
Yeah,
then
she's
I'm not going to
not-
invite her on next week.
We can. She probably just will be, completely spent after doing a Kickstarter. So no.
She would probably just be wasting her time.
Yeah, that too.
That is very
so check out that campaign. Unfortunately, we're not going to give her the invite to come talk about it next week. But I was like, "Ooh, we got an in. Nice."
Yeah.
So the Space Between says she is the best. She and I have a creator-owned joint coming together next year. Okay. Space Between, keep us in mind when you launch. We'd love to have you on, as long as you're not charging shipping after the fact.
On backer kit, yeah.
You are allowed to do it. I'm not saying you can't do it. I'm saying, but I think that I can go back to your first comment. I think your pay up front. Let's see. Are you the one? I don't know where the comment was. Somebody was very much against paying shipping, and I thought that might be you, but I'm not sure. I can't find it now. Oh well, it's late. I'm getting drinky, and oh, Pat. Oh my God, I didn't. Why did you come up as Space Between? Is that your company name? Probably. I'm waiting for him to type. You know what, guys? I'm into my wine, and we're winding down. We cannot wait till Pat and Rio's book next year. We will definitely hope to have both you on. And Ryan, you and Brian Hawkins are the only ones who've stuck with us till the bitter end. So
That's right.
we appreciate you. We're going to put you up on the Wall of Fame.
Appreciate that, and I only have two young kids, so I don't have 4. So
I should say that Pat was with us when we went to like 220, and I tapped out. So I shouldn't say you're the only one who's gone to the end, because it was me, Will, Pat, and who was on with Pat?
Was it Russell? No.
Was it Travis? It was Travis.
Travis. It was Travis.
Yeah,
it was Travis.
And it was like 220, and I was just like, guys, I was in my chair like, I love you. This is so much fun, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
No, the Mount Rusher of staying to the end. So Travis, Ryan, Brian, and Pat. All right, guys. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for showing up, everyone. Thanks.